Welcome! I'm Johan Nilsson.
And I'm Lincoln Murphy, and this is Impact Weekly.
We're here to help you make your customers successful. Each week, we answer your most pressing customer success management questions by relying on our years of experience with companies around the world.
Let's get this going. All right, this week's question. How much time should you spend trying to save a customer from leaving, and when is it over? I think it's a great question, and I think a lot of us have been contemplating that one.
Yeah, I mean this is a pretty common question. It's almost a common concern that doesn't always get articulated as a question, but I think it's there in the back of the mind of a lot of CSMs. And I think there's a lot to unpack here around what saving means and why you should do that, when you should do that. And of course the whole when is it over aspect, I think is really important.
Exactly.
I think we need to kind of take a step back like we do from these questions and kind of look at it from a high level. And, I like to look at things as sort of high percentage activities and low percentage activities. And what I mean by that is the high percentage activities are things that are going to have the results that we want most of the time. From the effort that you put into that, it's going to produce the results that we're looking for. Low percentage activities are those that we put effort into and we get very little out of it. Well, it should be pretty obvious, but I feel like I need to say it. If you're trying to scale your organization as a head of customer success, or even scale yourself as a CSM, which means just being more efficient, you're going to want to focus on high percentage activities. And the reality is, trying to save a customer is a pretty low percentage activity compared to trying to make them successful in the first place, right? Getting them to a point where they don't want to cancel. That's high percentage. The problem is saving a customer. It's very acute. It feels very specific versus, trying to make them successful. That happens over a longer period of time. And it's just not something that is like so in your face when it's happening. If a customer is on the verge of canceling, that's right there, and we need to focus on it. So it feels like effort that we put into that is going to be worth it. And so what we're going to talk about today is, is it worth it? When is it worth it? When should we not do that, and all of that stuff? But ultimately, you want to focus on things that are higher percentage activities. And compared to making a customer successful, saving them is very low percentage. When a customer gets to that point, it's tough. But
it is. And you can tell from the questionnaire, I think, as well, how much time should I spend? So, like firefighting or like trying to save a customer, I mean, it's really draining. And I think you can tell you can almost read between the lines here that this person asking this question is a little bit drained of all the things they've tried here, and when is it enough, basically. But I think another point or another perspective on this question is also that it can be really hard to just let go as well of the customer. I mean, there's a human factor here as well.
There is, and I think it's very easy, either as from the outside looking in, or if as a head of customer success, if you're not really thinking about, you just sort of focus on managing by objective, and you're not really thinking about, from the coaching aspect of being a head of customer success, or even the leadership aspect, you're not thinking about the fact that your CSMs are human. Like we have to take that into consideration. A CSM is a human and probably doesn't want to let their customer just go. For various reasons. It could be because they actually wanted to make their customer successful, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of an important aspect of being a CSM, and something that most CSMs have is a great deal of empathy. And so if a customer cancels, by kind of definition, I failed to make them successful, and therefore, I've failed at my mission. So that's hard. And just the other aspect of I'm measured probably on keeping those customers, and if I let them go, well, now my metrics are going to take a hit. So all of those things have to factor into this. And hopefully some of the stuff we'll talk about today will kind of help you as a CSM navigate this, and as a head of customer success, kind of help you understand what your CSMs might be thinking in the moment, right? When they're working or trying to work to save customers.
No, I think that's really important. And another thing to the question here also, just so we could elaborate a little bit around, because I think there's two ways to interpret this question, is that save a customer. It can be both the scenario where you have a customer that's been on a bad path for a while but still haven't canceled. So that's one scenario. And the other scenario could be that we actually have a cancellation. We have received a cancellation from a customer. And I think those are two different situations.
Yeah. So, if a customer hasn't canceled yet, then we would be in save mode, right? If a customer has canceled, then now we're in win back mode. And talk about low percentage activities. Win back after a customer has already canceled is incredibly low percentage. So, that's I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's pretty tough at that point. So, I would say if you're trying to prioritize things, customers that have already left, have already canceled, we could put those further down on the list of things to do, because it's just going to be really tough. So, we want to focus on those customers that we can actually save. But I think this goes back to there's some other bigger questions there, primarily around, should we try to save them?
Exactly. I think that's really important. And another thing I think is also, if maybe sometimes even a customer will inform you that they are thinking of canceling. And I think that's also a quite important distinction to make. If they haven't canceled, but they're informing you, or they're looking at alternatives or thinking of canceling, I think that's something to pick up on as well.
So they've told you, we're going to cancel, but they haven't yet. That's amazing, because that's actually, if they were going to cancel, like, they would have, right?
Yeah.
But they haven't yet, which means when they are telling you that they're going to cancel, this is like actually a cry for help, or they're giving you a chance to keep them from canceling. The fact that they're telling you that they're going to cancel is an incredibly important thing to pick up on. And so I love that you brought that up, because I think that's something that we could miss, and we could say, well, oh man, I'm really sorry to see you go. I wish we could have helped you. Have a good day. and then they're going to go cancel, and it's like, man, they gave you a chance and you didn't
exactly. No, there's information there. There's something to build on there. I think that's exactly. We need to find the positives here in these situations as well.
I love that.
So, but what can we do from here? If we're in, let's go with this, where we have a customer that we are in save mode. They haven't canceled yet, but we've been on a bad path for a while here.
Well, okay. So I mentioned earlier, I used the term like customers that we should save.
Yeah. Or
should try to save. That comes down to what I call success potential.
Yeah.
So what I mean by all this is like, yeah, we might have two customers that both told us that they're going to cancel. But one of those, like, they could never actually get value from working with us for whatever reason. We don't have all the features and functionality they need. Maybe we oversold them, or maybe something changed and now we're just not the right fit. Maybe there's some technical issues. They don't have some integrations they need, whatever, right?
Yeah.
They don't have success potential with us. If I'm trying to prioritize the customers that I'm going to try to save, I'm going to use success potential as the first sort of thing to keep in mind. I'm not going to try to save those customers that don't have success potential. The reality is, if you spend any time with them and you are able to save them, you're just prolonging the inevitable, because they're going to churn out. They don't have success potential. They're not going to be able to be successful as our customer. So to make this a little bit higher percentage activity, you want to focus on those customers that have success potential. That you can check all the boxes and say, look, if we can get them back on the right track, they will be successful with us. And then, of course, those customers that have success potential, but who haven't already canceled. So they've told us that they're going to cancel, or that we see that they're on a bad path. Like, let's focus on them. That's number one. And then number two is we have to intervene. So we need to talk to them. And, we need to be transparent about how we got to this point. Nobody doesn't know how we got to this point, right? We know how we got to this point. They know how we got to this point. And if we choose to ignore that, then that could hurt trust, and it just doesn't make any sense. So let's just be transparent about how we got here. You don't want to make anybody look bad. So, be transparent, but also don't, throw your product team under the bus. But ultimately, we need to be clear about how we got here, and then come to the table with a success plan, rather than, discounts to try to save them. Like, let's just come to the table with a plan to get them back on track.
No, I agree there. It's a great point. And just one thing, back to success potential. I think that's such an important thing here, because it's not about saving the ARR or the dollar here or the euros. I mean, of course, that's what we're looking at in a financial point of view, but it's about saving a customer that has this potential, I think. And the backside of that, if you, and for all of you heads of customer success listening, does everyone understand success potential? Do I understand success potential? Because otherwise I will not be able to distinct between those two examples you gave there, Lincoln. I mean, and in that case, you might chasing, if you like, the wrong customer to save the wrong customer.
Yeah. So, I mean, this goes back to making sure we have a very clear idea of what success potential looks like for our customers. And then, honestly looking at each CSM's portfolio of customers and identifying those that have success potential and those that don't. And if as head of customer success, you can do that, you can actually come up with probably a relatively good forecast of which customers are going to churn. Customers that don't have success potential generally don't stay that long, because they're not going to be able to get the value that they need from this relationship. That's just the reality. Now, ideally, you can take that checklist of success potential and feed it back to sales and marketing so that they don't fill the sales funnel with customers that don't have success potential, and that sales isn't closing those customers. It's a little bit, that kind of expands the scope of this question. But, if you're having to save a lot of customers that are churning out, one of the things that it's easy to do is sort of blame sales for bringing in bad fit customers. But the reality is, if we don't even know what success potential looks like for our customers, how can we communicate that to sales and marketing to stop the flow of bad fit customers? Right? Yeah. So bad fit customers are customers that don't have success potential. We haven't defined that. How can we blame anybody else for bringing in customers that don't match that definition?
Yeah. And I think this also relates to the second part of the question here. When is it over? Because I think that's also something, I mean, we can't spend endless amounts of time trying to save a customer that hasn't success potential. I mean, that's really spending our time on the wrong things, right? So that's also, if they don't have success potential, then it is over. I mean, that helps us. I think it's also important for a customer success manager to be able to say, I'm done here. I have to move on to the next one. And we need, as leaders, help our team here to understand when is it over, and when have we done all we can to save this customer.
Right. So that goes back. So the human aspect here of our, the CSMs being human beings, and not wanting to let things go, but also not wanting to be punished for letting a customer go. Well, having success potential as having that clearly defined actually helps both of those things. One, you will know whether or not you should just let a customer go because they don't have success potential. So that makes it less of a judgment call or less of a emotional thing, and just allows you to see that the best path for that customer is to go to a different vendor. And two, it should count less against you because this customer did not have success potential. So you as the CSM literally could do nothing to make them successful. Like that's that head of customer success needs to take that into consideration when we're looking at the metrics of a CSM. If a CSM is saddled with a large percentage of their portfolio that does not have success potential, then that needs to be taken into consideration when trying to figure out whether or not a CSM is themselves successful at their job.
Yeah. No, huge point to this question. I think it's this human factor we need to consider, and also success potential. But let's make this let's wrap this question up in three things. So what is the number one here?
Number one is prioritize customers that haven't canceled, but that also have success potential. So those are the ones that you should be working to save. That's it. Everything else is lesser priority.
Yeah. And number two here is we need to be transparent. What happened here? Why did we end up where we are? I think that's the only way to come back to the table and to have this success plan, whether it's to make a restart and go back to onboarding again. And a point here is also to, I think you mentioned intervention. We need to make this, to make a save, you need to do something really with big impact, and I like to put it in a limited time frame as well, so we also know when it's over. If we have done all we can during this sprint, if it's a 2-week or 3-week sprint, and it still haven't moved the needle for the customer, maybe we're okay with it's over for this customer, and we can move on to the next one or the other things we have. So we can help ourselves also to let go.
Exactly. I love that. And intervening with something that's going to make a big impact, I think, is critical. But like you said, with a time frame in place, so that I always say there's going to be diminishing returns after some point, right? So
exactly.
We've done what we can, and then it's time to move on. Third, and this is kind of this is just something that I think is kind of interesting and will be helpful. Don't ask a customer. So this is we're trying to learn from our customers. We want to learn why they left. One of the mistakes I see that also is kind of a time waster is trying to get an exit interview with a customer before they leave. Say, well, no, but I want that intel. I really want to know why a customer is leaving. I'll tell you what, if a customer, you've done all this stuff, you intervene, they're still on their way out. If you make them give you an exit interview before, we can finalize the cancellation, what you are doing is guaranteeing that you're going to get really bad intel. The customer just wants out. They just want to leave. So they're going to tell you whatever is going to be the most efficient way out. It's probably going to be that they don't have enough money, right? Because it's hard to argue with something that we don't know. And so they're going to leave. So your best bet, if you really want to do this, is to circle back with them after they've already canceled and see if they'll tell you why. They are much more likely, if they are willing to talk to you, they're much more likely to give you an honest answer since they've already canceled and there's no chance that you can, try to save them, right? Exactly. They're out psychologically. There's, the barriers are down. Now they can just be honest with you. So that's just kind of
and that's what we want here. So
we want honest, right, exactly. We want the
everything
honest,
else is wasting our time. So,
and we're trying for more high percentage activities that are going to, things that are going to get us the results we're really looking for. So that's just one of those tactical things that comes up a lot. Exit interviews, not so great. Interviews after the fact, while you might not get as high of a hit rate, the intel you'll get is much better. So there you go.
That's it. So those are the 3 things. So thanks a lot, everyone. See you soon. Hey, thanks for listening. Do you want to bring your customer success to the next level? Check out Impact Academy. We have training programs for customer success managers and for leaders in customer success.